Greetings all. What faction holds the most territory in the Warhammer 40K verse at present? Warhammer 40,000 is often renowned for its epic scale and cataclysmic battles, waged between myriad factions vying for dominance across the galaxy. Among these powerful contenders are the Imperium of Man, Tyranids, Eldar, Orks, Chaos, Necrons, Tau and Drukhari. Each faction boasts unique strengths, motivations and strategies, but when it comes to sheer territorial control in the fractious galactic expanse, which faction holds the most ground? This deep dive analysis examines each major faction's claim to territory, their historical context and current standing to determine the dominant force in the continual cosmic struggle. The Imperium of Man is without question the most expansive and territorially dominant faction in the 40k verse. It spans millions of inhabited worlds across the galaxy, from hive cities on feral worlds to vast manufactorums on forged planets. The Imperium's characteristic bureaucracy, religious fervor and militaristic zeal enforce control over the incomprehensible array of systems, making it the anchoring power in galactic affairs. Governing under the rule of the God Emperor who sits immobile and dying on the Golden Throne for over 10,000 years, the Imperium maintains order through the Adeptus Terra, the Imperial Guard, the Space Marines and countless other sub-factions. Despite constant threats from internal rebellion and Xenos invasion, the Imperium's size and resources give it unmatched territorial reach. However, the Imperium's domination is not unchallenged. The Tyranids, alien swarms born from the galactic void, seek to consume all biological matter, travelling in enormous hive fleets that descend upon star systems to devour everything in their path. While the Tyranids do not hold territories in a traditional sense, they are nomadic and migratory. Their destructive advance temporarily annihilates all resistance in their wake, leaving worlds emptied of life. In recent millennia, several hive fleets, notably Hive Fleet Leviathan and Hive Fleet Kraken, have claimed vast swathes of space during their conquest before moving on to new targets. Though these are ephemeral occupations, the Tyranids' capacity for rapid consumption and destruction rivals any faction's coercive power. The Eldar, one of the ancient races of the galaxy, excel not in sheer numbers but in precision and psychic prowess. Their craft worlds are massive, mobile space habitats that traverse the stars, and their influence extends to webway gates scattered across war-torn regions. Eldar territory is fragmented and fluid as they cling to survival and manipulate events from the shadows. Unlike the Imperium's stagnant bureaucracy, Eldar control is concentrated in strategic locations rather than continuous expanses. The Drukhari or Dark Eldar splinter off from the Eldar race and occupy the webway city of Camorra, striking with lightning raids. Their territory is more akin to predatory domains maintained by terror and slavery amid the Ebion sector, making their holdings small but lethal pockets rather than sprawling empires. Orks, meanwhile, are ubiquitous throughout the galaxy. Their hives and clans occupy countless worlds, often in constant warfare among themselves as well as other factions. Orks do not establish large-scale empires as the Imperium or Necrons do, but instead spread through a contagion, surfing waves of war and conquest wherever conflict arises. Their territory is thus decentralized and versatile, composed of pockets of occupation and contested planets. Orks thrive in chaos and disorder, which hinders their cohesive political and territorial unity, but makes them formidable foes in any contested sector. Chaos Space Marines and their associated forces of the warp represent an existential threat from within the Imperium itself. Their territory primarily consists of war-torn systems in the Eye of Terror and expanding chaos rifts across the galaxy. Chaos domains fluctuate with the tide of war and influence of the Immaterium, a metaphysical realm that fuels their power. They maintain strongholds that act as launch pads for incursions into Imperial domains and beyond. Though Chaos rarely holds contiguous territory compared to the Imperium, their influence penetrates deep into the hearts of many worlds, sowing corruption and rebellion, effectively undermining the stability of vast regions from inside. The Necrons, ancient robot-like beings awakened from eons of slumber, possess a more straightforward territorial claim. They have reactivated tomb worlds across the galaxy, each a bastion of their power. Unlike most factions whose control is derived from populous or industrial activity, Necron territory is asserted through ancient relics and extant technology. Their domains often coincide with long-forgotten star clusters, where they have awoken and refreshed their dominion. These tomb worlds are strategic and deadly, enabling the Necrons to challenge even the Imperium in localized sectors. While expansive, their territory is concentrated rather than continuous, marked by a resurgence from dormancy rather than conquest. The Tau represent the youngest major power, advancing with their philosophy of the greater good, uniting various alien species under a common banner. Their empire, though rapidly expanding, remains limited primarily to the eastern fringe of the galaxy. The Tau are technologically advanced and socially unified, employing diplomatic efforts alongside military campaigns to expand control. However, their territorial holdings pale in comparison to the Imperium's vastness, though they continue to extend their reach steadily into previously unclaimed or contested space. Determining which faction holds the most territory in the Warhammer 40K galaxy becomes an exercise in scale, methods of control and stability. The Imperium's domain, composed of millions of systems, countless planets, and an unyielding hierarchical governance, undeniably makes them the largest territorial power. Even with constant assaults from Chaos, Tyranids and others, the Imperium's presence permeates the galaxy's core. As historian Castellus Valerius once said, "To hold the stars is to hold the fate of humanity. No force has yet bested the Imperium's claim to the heavens." The Tyranids pose a unique problem due to their nomadic consumptive nature rather than traditional territorial holding. They do not settle planets or systems but devastate them completely, leaving a void. Thus, while they occupy immense swathes through destruction, they do not possess or govern these regions in a manner comparable to the Imperium or even the Tau. Similarly, the Eldar and Drukhari, despite their ancient heritage and potent psychic abilities, rely on mobility, secrecy, and fragmented power bases rather than territorial expansion. Their influence is often felt rather than seen in direct control of vast areas. Chaos territories fluctuate rapidly and are hampered by the inevitable infighting between gods and factions, limiting sustained territorial governance. Necron tomb worlds provide fixed points of control that can be expanded slowly but surely, yet lack the continuous and populous dominion exhibited by the Imperium. The Orks maintain a widespread presence, but it is chaotic and ephemeral, with little in the way of sustained political boundaries. The Tau, while steadily expanding their reach and governance, remain the smallest in terms of territorial expanse. However, the efficient governance and technological edge make them a rising power to watch. In conclusion, when analysing the major Warhammer 40K factions through the lens of territorial control and governance, the Imperium of Man stands undeniably supreme across the cosmos. It holds millions of planets in a tense, fragile grip, sustained by unparalleled military might, religious doctrine, and administrative complexity. Yet the threat posed by the other factions, such as the Tyranids' destructive incursions, the mystical Eldar and Drukhari, the insidious Chaos corruption, the ancient Necron resurgence, the anarchic Orks, and the ascendant Tau, ensures the galactic map remains fluid and contested. As the eternal war rages on, the struggle for control of the stars continues to shape the universe's fate, ensuring every faction's ambitions remain locked in a deadly embrace. No empire endures forever, and neither does the void let the stars linger in peace. Warhammer 40k's galactic stage is set for a continuous saga where dominance is temporary, and the thirst for territory drives a conflict without end. The Imperium may hold the stars today, but in the grim darkness of the far future, war alone is unending. This archive has now been fully decoded. Continue your journey into the librarian with the video displayed on screen. The vast wealth of the archives continues to reveal new knowledge of the dark history of the 40k verse. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.